Am I the asshole for not letting my girlfriend have a movie night with our colleague? Me, male 21, and my girlfriend 20 have been together since I was 16 and she 15, and we've been inseparable since then, well, until now. We work at the same company and have done so for about 2 years now. We even work in the same section. So lately, she's been getting closer to our colleague, male 40, and I've not seen a problem with this since he's 40. But recently, they wanted to hang out after work separately from me and our other friends. Things they do is just go for a walk, run, or hikes, which normally take around 40 minutes to an hour, which is normal, I guess. But now my girlfriend wants to have a movie night at his house, and they're going to watch the latest Fast and Furious movie. I asked to join, but they need to be alone because they're going to talk about friend stuff. She said they were like best girlfriends. At first I thought, okay, that's fine I guess, because again, he's 40. But now after the fact, I'm starting to worry that they're getting a little too close. Am I crazy, or is this something male and girlfriends do normally? I don't really have any experience in just that, because I don't really have any girlfriends that I'm close with, except my girlfriend. So please, I need some advice or just outside views on this. Edit, just from the first few comments, I would like to add some details. First, she's acting just like normal to me. She is loving, caring, and overall like the girl that I fell in love with. Second, this may seem a little bit arrogant, but if I may self-glaze a little, I'm 6'4", blonde, fit from going to the gym for 5 years, love cooking, traveling, and hanging with friends and family. He's 5'8", bald, not really fat, but on the more out-of-shape side, and is kind of a gamer, I guess. And I mean computer games. So he only has a handful of friends, and the same at work. I don't say this to bully him or belittle him in any way, it's just straight facts. Third, my girlfriend said that after meeting some of his friends at a local get-together here, she said that it felt weird being so much younger than everyone at that specific table that she just kept it short when she said hi to them. And final, so if you put this all together, I can't see any reason to why I should have been suspicious earlier. In the comments, OK19817 says, "No good can come from this. Her excluding you is the answer that you were looking for. You are not the asshole here. She's on her way out the door. She just doesn't know how to tell you." OP replies, "I'm starting to believe this as well, and the pit in my stomach is starting to brew." Wrong Right says, "Most couples who start as teens split up by their early 20s at the latest, because you form habits together when you are immature. It's time to dump her and focus on career, education, if you're in school, fitness, and other adult goals. Dating should be on the back burner for a while." Vixen Viper says, "Agreed. My high school boyfriend and I broke up 4 years after we started dating our junior year. We were 20 when we split. We went to separate colleges and just outgrew who we were when we got together. It was mutual and amicable. I remember feeling like I would never get over it. It sucks at the time, but it absolutely was the best decision for our individual growth. I think we were holding each other back, trying to maintain those immature habits that we had formed at 16. I haven't really thought of it in those terms until I read your comment, but it's spot on." And OP says, "Thank you for this. What you are saying is true and makes sense, but I do hope it's not the case for us, as I can't see myself without her, but from all the comments, I'm starting to see that maybe we're not so special after all." I'm not really going to frame it as you're not letting her have a movie night with a colleague who is 20 years older than her. It's more so like, that's wildly inappropriate. What the hell is wrong with you? Do you have any respect for this relationship at all? And if she still goes through with having a movie night with another man, I think you know what the answer to that question is. And, you know, this is the first big red flag in your relationship, and you can carry that knowledge going forward that she is not the one. I don't think that she lives in the same reality as us if she is so dead set on doing this. And as the kids say, she's for the streets. So yeah, not the asshole, OP. I'm sorry this happened. But maybe this is like Spider-Man, where this is like a canon event. And now, onto the update. Thanks for all the comments and DMs. There's no way that I can answer all of them, so I'll try to make an update now, as I feel almost responsible to do it for the big responses from the community. She actually went through with it. Earlier today, we sat down to discuss just how I felt about this whole thing, and that it's weird for her to go alone home to him as he is effing 40. I was very clear about my opinion about being excluded from this whole thing, and that it's not alright for me to feel like I'm third-wheeling my own relationship. Her answer was, "I didn't take you for such an insecure man after 5 years together." Honestly, this kinda broke me. How is it okay for her to just set my feelings aside with a comment like that? I must admit, I'm absolutely not the best with expressing my feelings in this kind of way, and it feels very uncomfortable for me to open up like that to someone, even if we've been together for years, and I can kinda see why that was her response. After that one little comment, it really sank in that she doesn't actually care about me anymore. The rest of the conversation went downhill from there on. I started to accuse her of cheating, she started throwing an effing fit about how dare I accuse her of things like that after 5 years together, and how I didn't trust her, etc. After about 20 minutes of this, I was honestly broken down. So I just walked out. I didn't say anything, I just walked. I was out for about 30 minutes just to try and clear my head from this whole conversation. When I came back, she was waiting for me with just one question. "Do you think I've cheated on you?" And I said yes, I really do. And then I think I did something stupid. I showed her my first post to get my point across even more that the things I'm feeling and thinking about this is all around the opinions in the comments. She was stunned and silent for a bit, and I think she actually kinda saw why I felt the way that I did. Her response? "I gotta go. The 40-year-old is waiting to start the movie, and I think we should have a small break from each other." She went. She effing went to him after our fight. What did I do? I went to my father at his work and actually cried in his arms for the first time in probably 15 years. And now I'm at home in bed and have talked to my landlord, and she's very understanding, and she said that I can take my name off the lease anytime that I want. What now? I'm in my bed feeling totally empty, numb, sick, and furious. And to be honest, I went kind of off the hook when I came back from my dad. I threw some shit on the floor actually and cut down the networking cable in the wall, as she's maintaining a blog that she is very passionate about. I won't link it, so don't even ask, as I don't want to give that piece of shit more activity on it. This update went probably just the way that people expected it to. So I hope that people are happy that my relationship is probably 100% over, to spare me in the future. But please, how can I come out on top of this? I have to see both on Monday when we go to work. I don't think I can handle this, so please, advice is more than welcome. I might do another update later on if I can mentally go through this again. As per now, I literally can't handle it. I am mentally breaking down as I am writing this. In the comments, the Constipated Dragon says, "The fact that she went to him after your argument speaks volumes." Rigny says, "I have a strong feeling that she was already cheating anyway. Opie did the right thing confronting her, and her reaction proves it." That's what I figured when they need to be alone to watch Fast and the Furious. It's background noise for sex. She had two options: let him down, putting your feelings first, or let you down, putting his feelings first. She clearly values his happiness more than yours, not the asshole. This is emotional betrayal. She knew that OP was uncomfortable and still chose to go. That's not what a caring partner does. Look, you dodged a massive bullet with that one, OP. Trash took itself out, congratulations, but ripping the network cable out of the wall? And the landlord just being cool with that? Hey buddy, I know you just tarnished my property, but yeah, go ahead and take your name off the lease. These are two very normal people in a normal situation, I can tell. But yeah, you honestly didn't deserve any of this. It wasn't exactly an obvious outcome to this situation, but it was one of the possible ones, and she proved that she's not worth keeping around. Again, I'm sorry you had to go through this, but good luck in the future. You deserve so much better. Our next post is by user 12 Days Slate, titled, "I'm the maid of honor in a wedding. I love my friend, and I don't support the relationship. What would you do?" I'm matron of honor in my close friend's wedding. I'll call my friend Yana and her groom-to-be Adam. Adam is emotionally abusive and manipulative. She had to beg him to propose. He finally did. Their wedding is in 2 months. Their relationship had been very toxic before, but over the last year, it seemed to get better. I got a text from Yana late last night. She told me Adam called the cops and she was done. Adam called during a verbal argument. Over their 4-year relationship, he's threatened to call the police 1,000,000 times whenever they fight. One time, she looked at his phone. He said he was going to call the police if she looked at his phone again. Adam threatened to sue Yana last night for her dog. Adam also calls Yana's mum to handle her every time they fight. Yana's mum, Linda, is very, very toxic. Linda has since texted Yana horrible things, including, "I'm done. I'm picking up your dog because he isn't safe. I'll never talk to you again. Next time I see you will be in the morgue. You drained our retirement. You are an embarrassment." Yana has very low self-esteem. She won't leave. Do I stay in the wedding when I don't support the relationship? Edit to add, I've told Yana that Adam is abusive. I've told him calling the police was incredibly manipulative. I've offered a spare room in my home. I've offered to help in every way I can. I cannot make her leave him, much as I'd love to do so. She insists that she wants to make it work. In the comments, Coastal Kid 92 says, this is a really tough one. On one hand, you should want to ensure Yana doesn't get isolated and not have a connection to rely on if things escalate to a dangerous place. But on the other hand, it definitely could feel tough to be there for her on a day that she is going to get married to someone who doesn't bring out the best in her, and vice versa. Given that you've just had another incident in their drama, it might be time to say some hard truths. That bitch A says, I'd tell her that I support her, but I don't support the marriage, and I can't attend. I'd ask her what she would do if you were the one marrying a man who was verbally abusive and called your mum to handle you. I couldn't be in a bridal party if I didn't even like the guy that my friend was marrying. Quote, she told me Adam called the cops and she was done. Isn't this her saying the relationship is over? This all just happened yesterday. She's still processing it probably. I understand the concern of what to do if they get back together, but they're not together right now, right? If I were you, I would let her know now. I will always love and support you, but because of his behavior and treatment of you, I cannot be in support of a relationship with him. I will always be here for you, but I'm sorry to say that if you choose to get back together with him, I will have to bow out of the wedding. OP says, we've spoken several times since this late night text. She is not done, it is not over. She said she was done in anger and hurt. They're trying to make it work. They never broke up. Dizzy Try says, I honestly don't know what's right here, but personally, I wouldn't participate in this wedding. I would make sure Yana knows I'm always there to support her, but that supporting this marriage doesn't feel like supporting her well-being and happiness, but the opposite. If you choose not to be a part of the wedding, at least let her know that you'll be available in the future if she needs you. Do not compromise your principles. Always support your friend. You can do both. And OP says, unfortunately, knowing Yana, she wouldn't take this well. I know she would cut me off. And Dizzy Try says, this is the cycle of abuse that Yana is in, unfortunately. Those who refuse to support and validate the abuse get cut off, isolating her further. This is a really shitty situation, and I'm very sorry that you find yourself part of it. For those who are saying just go to the wedding because otherwise Yana will cut her out, the fact is that if it's not the wedding, it'll be something else. It's just delaying the inevitable. It's just one of those situations, once again, where if someone doesn't want the help and they're not ready to change themselves, nothing you do is going to change their mind. Nothing you do is going to fix them. The fence sitter in me wants to be like, oh man, this really sucks, but we gotta stick it out for Yana, we gotta help Yana out, and we gotta do what we can, we gotta make her see that this is an abusive relationship. If you just keep trying, you can break through. But OP knows this. OP knows that she wouldn't take it well if OP says, I'm not going to be part of the wedding because he's not good for you. Rare Parsnip saying, you can always support your friend, you can do both. I think if you participate in the wedding, you are compromising your principles. I don't think you can support her and also go to the wedding in this situation. I think this is a case of how long are you willing to set yourself on fire while Yana refuses to see that you're actually trying to help her out of a bad situation. Sometimes you have to listen to that advice of, if you love them, let them go. As much love as you have for this victim of abuse, they're not going to change no matter what you do. Let her hit rock bottom, and then when she's ready, then you extend an olive branch. And now, onto the update. I apologize in advance for the length. I'm trying to make this as short as possible. I am happy to clarify anything. I posted a little over a month ago about being Yana's maid of honor and remaining in her wedding or not. I decided to commit to being in her wedding until last weekend. My toddler became very, very ill. He had to go to the hospital. We spent the night there on Friday night. Yana's bachelorette party was Saturday night. I had a very minor amount of decorations at my house for the party, a bridal sash and veil, some cups, and a banner that said, "Last wiener to go in betweener." All told, it cost me less than $50 on Amazon. On Friday, I texted Yana as I was leaving for the hospital. I said I would try to attend, but my son was very sick. She said, "Oh no. Okay, I'm going to order more decorations now. I hope they're here in time." An hour later, I started getting texts from a bachelorette party attendee who was not in the bridal party. I'll call her Lauren. Lauren said she was sorry that my son was in the hospital, but either I or my husband need to leave and drive the decorations to Yana's house. She lives 30 minutes away. I told her that I'd leave the decor on my porch, but that's all I could do. She said Yana deserved this party. I got no less than 15 texts from Lauren about this. I told Yana that I was getting several texts from Lauren and I couldn't deal with it. She said, "No one is telling you to leave your son." And to Yana's credit, after this, she did ask about my son. The party went on. On Monday, I texted Yana that I was very hurt that the decor was treated as more important than my son's life. She waited 36 hours and said she was very hurt by me acting like she didn't care about my son, but that she couldn't delay her bachelorette party and they needed these decorations for the bachelorette party that she deserved. I replied with a screenshot of Lauren's messages, and Yana told me that there was no group chat about it. Last night, I asked Yana if she still wanted me to be in the party, and she replied, basically putting it on me, saying she respects my decision either way, and asked if I wanted to be in the bridal party. I don't know what to do. In the comments, Golden State Thriller says, "Lauren sounds like the bigger problem here. You asked Yana 1 week before her wedding. I don't see it as her giving you an out as much as her understanding that you may have a lot on your plate with a sick child and not wanting to pressure you. If you're willing to lose the friendship, then drop out. Your post history does make it seem like you never wanted to be in it. Weddings are stressful, sick kids are stressful, and you have to decide if you want to see it through and work on it or drop out and end it." Laura Bora says, "Yes, it reads as though OP is placing Lauren's words and actions onto Yana, which is not fair to Yana. Yana saying there was no group chat about it is her saying, how can I be responsible for messages that I didn't write or see? I don't know the situation beyond what is written here, but it reads like OP is triggered off of Lauren's behavior and taking it out on Yana." Sociable Lentils says, "It sounds like Lauren was the main problem here. It sounds like Yana didn't know that Lauren was saying these things. Yeah, Yana was a little self-centered, but she didn't ask you to leave your son or even to do anything with the decorations. She just ordered more to avoid inconveniencing you while you had more important things going on. I wouldn't take out your feelings over Lauren's behavior on Yana." OP replies, "Lauren was the main problem, absolutely. My issue is that I believe Yana, at a minimum, does not take issues with what Lauren said." And now, onto the latest update. We spoke on the phone last night. This morning, I backed out of the wedding. I sent this. I've been doing a ton of thinking since our call, and I'm sure you have too. I know I'm not the best person to serve as your maid of honor. I can't do it. I'm sorry that we both have hurt feelings and that it's even come here. I truly wish you the best with your wedding. Yana replied immediately with, "Do not ever speak to me again." In the hours since, Yana posted to Facebook that she has a new maid of honor and a new bridesmaid. Lauren is the new bridesmaid. I have blocked Yana and Lauren's number. In the comments, Nana Queen says, "I dropped out of a wedding 7 to 8 years ago. We've never spoken again, and I've never regretted it for a second. Some people are not lifelong friends, and it's okay to say goodbye when it's time. I hope your little one is okay." For Esme with love says, "I did as well and have no regrets, and I'm glad that I'm not in any of her pictures so she can look at the event back on with fondness and not as the final straw in the dissolution of our friendship." OP says, "I have a close friend who had a falling out with a bridesmaid some months after her wedding. My friend says she wishes she never made that person a bridesmaid because now that person is in so many of her wedding photos. My close friend brought this up to me when I was trying to decide if I should remain in the wedding." For Esme with love replies, "Exactly. You want their wedding to be about them and not your failing friendship. Absence is better than the stress of potential drama." And OP says, "I'm sure my posts haven't conveyed it, but I do care for Yana, and she deserves a maid of honor who is there enthusiastically." Harkoncido says, "I lost any sympathy for Yana in the last update. Let her enjoy whatever is coming her way." Same. She's cool with being dedicated to a narcissistic, abusive boyfriend who likes to threaten her with calling the police, but she doesn't have any patience for her friend when her friend's son gets sick. Nah, that's trash behavior. Sometimes it's better to get out of the crab bucket while you still can. I get she's in a tough situation, but treating a friend that way while she's worried for the life of her child? I'd be out of that friendship so fast. Does anyone get the idea that Yana might be the problem in her relationship? The fiancé is always threatening to call the cops on her, her mum is threatening to take away the dog because she's not fit to care for it, the shit she did to OP over decorations? It sounds like she's the toxic one, and maybe OP should be asking Adam if he, the man who had to be manipulated into proposing, actually wants to get married. I became suspicious when Yana's mom accused her of draining her retirement. Victims don't tend to get accused of that. I'm guessing it won't be long before someone responds to you with, actually, sometimes abuse victims commit financial fraud because their abusers tell them to." I'm gonna go with, there's a toxic lid for every toxic pot. OP has said that the boyfriend is a problem. I'm going to trust OP on that they are a reliable narrator, and that Yana is not solely the problem in that relationship. Both of them are as bad as each other. They should get married to each other to keep themselves away from the rest of us. I don't blame OP for her actions in this story at all. You, OP, backed out of the wedding in a very, very respectful manner. A lot of people would be a lot less respectful in that, so I respect you for it. Thank you for the story, and all the best going forward. Our next post is by user Significant Try 1044, and it's titled, "Am I the asshole here if I go no contact with mother-in-law and father-in-law for threatening to call CPS? My mother-in-law texted one of my family members today saying that she and my father-in-law thought about calling CPS on me and my spouse, but decided not to. Basically, according to them, we are willfully endangering our baby by having multiple dogs in the household and fostering dogs through a reputable and responsible rescue. Ever since we were pregnant with said child, they've been making remarks that we need to rehome most of our dogs. We have 6 of our own and 2 fosters. Simply due to the number that we have. My spouse and I know that it's more dogs than most have, but we live in a rural area, have a massive outdoor area the dogs spend hours in, and don't keep or foster dogs that show any inkling of aggression towards humans. It's not even uncommon to have this many dogs where we live, and some people around us have way more than we do. Our yard is sandy, so the dogs do track in sand onto our hard surface floors that we vacuum daily. Because there is often some sand from letting the dogs in and our counters are cluttered, they consider our house dirty. By comparison, their house is always clean enough you could eat off their floor. The worst part of all of this is they admit that CPS wouldn't do anything. Our child is healthy, happy, and clean. Their doctor says they are in perfect health, and the dogs have never so much as accidentally scratched, stepped on, or even looked at them wrong. We don't let the dogs in their bedroom or play area, and we actively train our dogs so they are good family members, either as our own dog or fosters. The dogs are also well taken care of, up to date on all shots, and friendly. They can be energetic due to their various breeds, but we make sure any rough and tumble play is outside in their designated yard. My spouse and I also work in jobs that involve children and have been in situations where CPS had to rightfully be called. It stings so much that someone would think to use CPS workers to bully us into rehoming our actual dogs and to stop fostering just because they admit they don't understand how or why we live the way we do. I think I'm more heartbroken than anything because I can't fathom why someone would even hypothetically put us through this. Even our non-dog-loving family members have acknowledged that our dogs are all very friendly and that our home is a safe environment for our child. As much as I love each and every one of my furry toddlers, I know they are animals and would never keep one if I had any suspicion that they could hurt my child or their friends. I know CPS wouldn't actually remove our child, but I can't stop wondering if every knock or phone call is from a worker starting an investigation. Would I be an asshole if I ceased contact with my mother-in-law and father-in-law? I don't know if I even have anything to say to them. I don't know if I can even look at them. I can't even sleep because I'm worried they'll end up calling even though they said they wouldn't. Why would they even mention this? How can they say they love us and not acknowledge how much an investigation into a false allegation could affect our child, our jobs, everything? Sorry if this is all over the place, if anyone even reads this. I know they never really liked us, since my spouse and I are very different from them. I just never thought that they would try to do this to us, let alone trying to use my family against us too. In the comments, JRM says, "Not the asshole. That does seem like a lot of dogs, but you seem to have it all under control. I'd have your spouse speak to them and get to the bottom of this. Maybe they're giant assholes, or maybe they're just regular assholes and this is a misunderstanding." OP replies, "Oh yeah, we know. My spouse and I joke that we thrive off of coordinated chaos. I wish this was a misunderstanding. We called them after we found out, and they said there wasn't any specific behavior or dog they were concerned about, it is purely just the number. They don't even think that CPS would do anything, they were just hoping the mere idea of talking to a CPS worker would make us decide to rehome 4 dogs. Psyche replies, "Gather any evidence of them admitting to wanting to call CPS, especially because you work with kids. I have a feeling they will try and escalate the situation. They're trying to run your house. Go low contact with them. Your husband should be the one dealing with his parents." Without addressing the pet situation, I think that it's deplorable that your mother-in-law would threaten to contact CPS, much less via a third-party conversation. Your husband should probably take the lead in resolving this issue because they are his parents. Stopping contact will have serious repercussions between him and his parents. Ultimately, you need to take care of your immediate family first and foremost, not the asshole. Yeah, I get a feeling if OP goes no contact right now, they're gonna call the CPS in retaliation. So I really think having him address the situation with them and you going like low contact is best here. They shouldn't be making threats like that. They don't run your household. They have no say in how your household, is managed. And if I were in this situation, they wouldn't be seeing my kids again, or they wouldn't be seeing the kids for a long time, that's for sure. Using CPS to bully you into getting what they want is a waste of CPS resources, and it's 10 times more harm than any good that could ever come from this. They are well aware that a CPS investigation could end your careers and they don't care. That's just evil from them. You really just have to take all the steps you can right now to protect yourself. Back up to the post, there is an update. I am going no contact with the in-laws for the foreseeable future, as is our child. My spouse is leaning towards no contact, but at the very least, severely limiting contact. They have spent all day today, after our phone call last night, insisting that they weren't actually threatening to call CPS. They refused to understand why we were both so upset and kept trying to turn the blame back around on us, saying that we weren't listening to them and the CPS comments weren't a big deal. This unfortunately fits a larger pattern of them trying to control our lives and being angry and disappointed/annoyed that we just have very different lives. The fact my spouse and I are very equal and independent people is a constant issue that they keep dancing around. Nothing about us is traditional, and despite what they claim, they don't love that about us. Most disagreements or attempts to control us come from these differences, and why we should actually act more like them. Also, to address some questions in the comments, 1. We do live in a rural area controlled by the county, not the city. There are no restrictions on animals as long as they are healthy and not exotic. We have a lot of dogs for a city, but out here, people aren't even surprised when we say that we have 6. Many have at least 3, and there's a variety of other animals on their respective properties. We just didn't want other animals as we've been involved in dog rescue for several years. 2. Our household operates more like a small farm than a typical suburban household. And 3. My spouse and my own work schedules allow our household to operate the way that it does. I won't go into specifics, but will say that the way that it's arranged allows one or the other of us to care for our child at home versus putting them in daycare. This also makes daily cleaning a lot more feasible, along with my spouse and I being very equal partners. And now, onto the update. Thanks to everyone who responded to my initial post. I'm terrible with links, but my first post is on my profile. I genuinely appreciated the outside perspectives, including those who rightfully question our sanity and the legality of owning 6 dogs and still fostering. I will say that many people do not have reputable sources for determining the number of animals you're allowed to own, just as an FYI. My state, county, and local city do not have a limit on dogs, and I do not live in any of the states mentioned by the commenters in the first post. I assist with an animal non-for-profit in addition to the fostering, so I'm aware of any current and proposed changes to ownership laws for my area. I also live well outside the nearest city limits and couldn't imagine having this many animals and not having some dedicated land for them. None of them are Great Danes, but only one of them is a small breed of dog. My spouse, child, and myself are no contact with mother-in-law and father-in-law for the foreseeable future. They didn't call CPS, but refused to take responsibility and fell into their typical pattern of gaslighting to make my spouse and I look childish and spiteful. This, unfortunately, follows the pattern of behavior that made my spouse start therapy shortly before the birth of our child. They frequently say mean, hurtful, or even borderline derogatory comments and then turn around and deny ever saying them. If we have proof, such as texts, they'll insist that they were joking or misunderstood the context, even though the context is pretty fucking clear. A notable example is mother-in-law telling my spouse they needed to keep me under control when my spouse and I were planning our wedding because basically every aspect of the wedding was non-traditional, and this was hugely offensive to my mother-in-law. This is despite the fact that my mother-in-law is not religious. Nothing about our wedding was scandalous or offensive, and my partner and I decided on every aspect of our wedding together. She, to this day, tells us that it was a joke or that she didn't actually say it, depending on her mood, despite her ranting to our other family members about it and everyone else remembering it as being completely sincere. It's easier to see this now that my spouse and I aren't dealing with the immediate after effects of the CPS comment to my family. It took us by surprise, and it hurt so much this time because we genuinely thought my spouse's parents had changed. I was really trying to overlook the past so my child and future children could have a good relationship with them. The fact this time around, they basically said that they don't like us because we're too different from them and too hard to understand was a really bitter pill to swallow. Maybe it's the fact that my family is so close, but I don't understand how someone can say that and in the next breath say they love us entirely. We're not even that out there or extremist in any sense. We get along with my huge extended family, and they come in just about every shade, flavor, and personality under the sun. I can't let my child or future children think love from their family is conditional on them being carbon copies of anyone, including their grandparents. Apparently, minor differences in how we spend our free time. They like binge-watching TV and staying in bed and breakfasts. We like board games and volunteering, for example. And our personal style choices is too much for them to handle. Despite being self-proclaimed feminists and staunchly not religious, apparently men still aren't supposed to have long hair or wear nail polish, and women should wear makeup. Or at least that's how their children and their spouses are supposed to be. I guess the best news out of this is that we are now closer with the rest of my spouse's family. They were horrified about what mother-in-law and father-in-law said, and even more appalled by the gaslighting after. We weren't expecting the support, and we're trying to prepare ourselves for being cut off from everyone, but we are so grateful that's not the case. I have grown to love my spouse's family even more than I already did, and am so thankful that my spouse does have love and support from their side of the family. While my parents adore my spouse as their own, I know it means a lot to my spouse to have their own family members too. Not to mention our few close but dear friends that have been eager for us to have kids so they can be the best aunts and uncles they possibly can. I don't wish ill on my in-laws, and I'm almost sad to say that our lives have been calmer and happier without them in it. I can't control their choices, and I can't stand to let them hurt my spouse any longer or possibly start doing the same things to our child. They can make their own choices and live with those consequences. In the comments, having 6 dogs in a farmstead is basically nothing. My sister and brother-in-law have over 10. They rent them out, and brother-in-law, to different farms to round up the sheep, etc. Saves every farmer and homestead in the area needing to keep and train dogs for that purpose. Threatening to call CPS is 100% a reason to go no contact every single time. I mean, unless there is a real reason to call the CPS, of course. The thing is, if there is a reason to call CPS, if the children were in actual danger, you wouldn't threaten, "Obey me or I'm calling CPS." You would just call them and/or 911. This is how I feel. If you honestly think a child is in a dangerous and abusive situation, why on earth would you tell the people putting them in that situation that you're reporting them? I wouldn't want to give an abuser that kind of heads up. But that's not what happened here. Mother-in-law and father-in-law just want to hold a threat over their heads to try and control them. It's gross as hell. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.